All right, welcome back to the Deep Dive. You, our fantastic listeners, have charted our course for today, sending us on a mission to explore the final frontier of Star Trek. And we've got stellar charts to guide us, a really insightful overview, and the massive, and I mean massive, Star Trek Online wiki.
Absolutely, like a starships database packed with info.
Exactly. So our mission for this deep dive is to work through all this material, pull out the most fascinating bits, and really give everyone listening a solid understanding of Star Trek, where it came from, how it's evolved, and why it matters. Because it does matter, right? It's not just spaceships and aliens.
Right, it's become this cultural touchstone, a phenomenon, really.
Okay, so Star Trek. It all started with Gene Roddenberry. One guy's idea turned into this huge franchise. TV shows, films, books, games, you name it. I mean, we're talking one of the biggest, most financially successful media franchises in history.
No doubt. It's had a massive impact on popular culture. And that's really what we're going to trace in this deep dive. From that initial spark of Roddenberry's vision to the whole sprawling universe it's become.
Perfect. So let's set our coordinates for the beginning. September 1966, the original series, first airing in Canada, then a couple of days later in the U.S. What was Roddenberry's big idea here? What was he trying to show audiences?
Well, at its core, it was about the voyages of the Starship Enterprise, a powerful ship representing this 23rd century United Federation of Planets. And they were out there exploring, seeking out new life and civilizations, boldly going, as they say, where no man had gone before.
Yeah, that mission statement. Iconic.
It really captured this fundamental human drive to explore, to discover. But it did it with this sense of optimism, hope for the future.
And Roddenberry wasn't just pulling this from thin air, was he? I mean, there were influences, inspirations from other stories.
Oh, absolutely. He drew on a fascinating mix. For one, there were C.S. Forester's Horatio Hornblower novels, stories of naval adventure, leadership. You can see that template for Command in Space.
Okay. I see the connection.
Then there was Jonathan Swift's Gulliver's Travels, which, interestingly, Roddenberry saw more privately as a way to explore social issues, morality, through these encounters with the strange and unfamiliar.
So kind of sneaking in those deeper messages through the adventure.
Yeah.
Clever.
Exactly. Then, visually, there was the 1956 film Forbidden Planet, Advanced Tech, Exploration of the Unknown, and of course he famously pitched the show as Wagon Train to the Stars.
Haha, Wagon Train to the Stars. That is such a great way to describe it.
Yeah, really captures that episodic format of those classic westerns, going from planet to planet, facing new challenges each week. But that Gulliver's Travels connection is interesting, isn't it? Because it suggests there was always this intention to address bigger themes, societal issues, beneath the surface of these adventures, like Swift's satire.
It makes you want to go back and rewatch those early episodes looking for those hidden layers. But speaking of early days, the original series didn't exactly have an easy start, did it?
Not exactly smooth sailing, no. The initial ratings were good, promising, but they dropped pretty quickly. By the end of the first season, the show had fallen significantly in the rankings.
And that's when NBC, the network, started getting nervous.
Understandably so. They were concerned about their investment, and there were threats of cancellation during that second season.
But that's when something incredible happened. The fans rose up.
That's right. The fans mobilized in a way that was practically unheard of at the time.
Led by people like B. Joe Trimble. I mean, it's heartwarming to think about it. Thousands of fans writing letters to NBC, urging them to keep the show going. It's a testament to how strongly those early fans connected with the characters, with the optimistic vision of the future.
It really was a remarkable display of fan power. And it worked, to some extent.
Yeah, NBC renewed it, but they moved it to that dreaded Friday night slot.
The Friday night death slot, as they call it. Not a great sign. Plus, the budget got cut. All signs that the network had kind of lost faith. And Roddenberry himself ended up stepping back from the day-to-day running of the show.
Yeah, Fred Freiberger came in as producer for that third season.
Yeah.
But even another huge letter-writing campaign couldn't save it.
Nope. After just 3 seasons, 79 episodes, the original run of Star Trek came to an end.
It's kind of amazing, right, to think of how huge it became later, but how close it came to just fading away. So what happened after that cancellation in '69? How did this show find a second life, build this massive following?
Well, the answer is syndication. After the cancellation, the studio, Desilu, which had become Paramount Television by then, They started licensing those reruns to local TV stations.
So people could catch those episodes even though the original run was over.
Exactly. And starting in late '69, those reruns started gaining traction. It was building a whole new audience, a more dedicated, devoted fan base than it had during its initial run.
I guess because with syndication, people were discovering it on their own terms. No pressure from network schedules or anything.
Right. And that allowed it to really sink in, resonate with viewers who might have missed it the first time around. By the mid-'70s, the original cast members were starting to realize just how big this thing had become.
They were starting to feel the impact of those reruns, the growing fan base.
Yeah. And this newfound popularity led to some pretty significant developments. Like in January 1972, you had the first ever Star Trek convention.
In New York City, right?
That's right. They expected maybe a few hundred attendees, but thousands of fans showed up.
Wow. A real testament to the dedication of those early fans.
Absolutely. And that convention was really the beginning of that organized Trekkie or Trekker subculture. This whole community bonded by their love for Star Trek.
A community that's just grown and grown over the decades.
Exactly. And it wasn't just conventions. There were new stories being told. Like in 1973, we got Star Trek, the animated series.
Ah, yeah. The animated series. I remember that.
Produced by Filmation in collaboration with Paramount Television, aired on Saturday mornings. And get this, it actually featured the voices of the original cast.
No way. So even though the live-action show was over, the actors were still involved.
Yeah. It was a way to keep those characters and stories alive. And you know what? It even won an Emmy Award.
Really? An Emmy?
Yeah.
For the animated series?
Yep. The franchise's only Best Series Emmy, specifically in the category of Outstanding Entertainment Children's Series. The later Emmys they won were mostly technical awards.
That's pretty wild. So the momentum was building. There was even talk of a new live-action series, right? Phase 2.
You're right. Sensing this growing demand, Paramount and Roddenberry started developing Star Trek, Phase 2, in the mid-'70s.
To bring Star Trek back to television.
Exactly. But there were complications. A new Paramount television service network was planned, but it never actually launched. So Phase 2 was shelved. However,
this is where things get interesting.
Exactly. With films like Star Wars blowing up at the box office, science fiction was hot. So Paramount decided to adapt that planned pilot episode of Phase 2 into something else.
Into a movie. Star Trek, the motion picture.
You got it. Premiered in 1979, it brought the original cast back together on the big screen.
It was a big deal. But wasn't it a bit of a mixed bag? Critically, I mean.
Yeah, the critical response was lukewarm. It did okay at the box office, but not amazing. And as a result, Paramount decided to dial back Roddenberry's creative control for the following films.
So that was kind of a turning point. Less direct involvement for Roddenberry in the movies. But then came 1982, and everything changed again.
Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan. Many consider it the best of the original past films.
And it really revitalized the franchise, didn't it?
It did. While it actually made less money than the first movie, it was much cheaper to produce.
So more bang for their buck.
Exactly. And that paved the way for 4 more films with the original cast, released between '84 and '91, solidifying their legacy.
Really cemented Star Trek as a major film franchise, too. But even as those movies were coming out, there was still a desire for more Star Trek on TV, which led to The Next Generation.
1987, Star Trek, The Next Generation. TNG, as the fans call it. This was a pretty big gamble for Paramount.
Because they went with first-run syndication.
Right.
Not a traditional network.
Exactly. Instead of going through a big network like NBC, ABC, CBS, they decided to distribute it directly to individual TV stations.
More control, but also more risk.
Definitely. And they set this new series 100 years after the original. New enterprise, new crew, fresh stories, but still upholding those core Star Trek values.
And it was a huge success, arguably even bigger than the original series during its run.
Oh, without a doubt. The highest ratings of any Star Trek series. The most watched syndicated show during its 7 seasons. It introduced a whole new generation to Star Trek.
But then, in 1991, we lost Gene Roddenberry.
A huge loss for the franchise. His passing marked a real transition.
Yeah, Rick Berman took over the reins.
Yeah.
By this point, Star Trek was a massive asset for Paramount. I mean, it was the franchise.
Literally, that's what they called it internally. It was a huge revenue stream, a key part of their identity.
So under Berman's leadership, the television universe continued to expand. Deep Space Nine in '93, Voyager '95, and then in 2001, the prequel series Enterprise.
Each show brought something new to the table. Deep Space Nine was darker, more serialized, stationed, not a starship exploring. Voyager stranded on the other side of the galaxy. and Enterprise, taking us back to the very beginnings of Starfleet.
So much variety.
Yeah.
But those shows didn't all have the same level of success, did they?
Well, The Next Generation and Deep Space Nine were both critical and commercial hits. Voyager had a good run, but Enterprise, despite dedicated fans and a big Save the Show campaign, only lasted 4 seasons.
It ended in 2005, right?
Yeah, it was the end of an era, 18 years of continuous Star Trek on TV.
And the movie Nemesis, which came out in 2002, didn't exactly set the box office on fire either.
No, it underperformed. So the franchise was at a bit of a crossroads, and Berman eventually stepped down.
So what happened next? How did Star Trek bounce back?
Well, Paramount decided to go for a reboot on the movie side, the Kelvin Timeline films.
Starting with J.J. Abrams' Star Trek in 2009. This was a big change. They brought in a new creative team. Roberto Orci, Alex Kurtzman, Abrams himself. It was clearly designed to appeal to a wider audience.
Absolutely. It was all about reinvigorating Star Trek for the big screen. And by creating this alternate timeline, the Kelvin timeline, they had a lot more freedom. They could reimagine those iconic characters without messing with established continuity.
And that first movie was a huge success, both critically and commercially. They even won an Oscar for Best Makeup.
The first Oscar for the franchise. A big deal. Then came the sequels. Star Trek Into Darkness in 2013, the highest-grossing Star Trek film internationally, and Star Trek Beyond in 2016, which got good reviews but didn't do as well at the box office.
It felt like they were trying to capture that big blockbuster energy.
Definitely. But while the Kelvin films definitely brought new fans to Star Trek, it felt like that momentum faded after that third film.
Meanwhile, CBS, who had the TV rights, was also looking to capitalize on Star Trek's popularity, especially with streaming services becoming so big.
And that led to Star Trek Discovery in 2017.
The first new Star Trek series in over a decade.
And it launched on CBS's own streaming platform, CBS All Access, which is now Paramount Plus Carment. They also made a deal with Netflix for international distribution, showing how global the appeal of Star Trek is.
And that was just the beginning, wasn't it? Under Alex Kurtzman's leadership, they really went all in on building this interconnected Star Trek universe.
Exactly. Starting around 2018, they started developing multiple series, all connected, but also distinct in tone and style.
Almost like what Marvel did with their cinematic universe.
Yeah, that was the idea. Give fans different flavors of Star Trek, appeal to different segments of the fan base.
And we've seen so much new content. Star Trek, Picard, bringing back Patrick Stewart. Short Treks, these cool little mini episodes. Strange New Worlds, a prequel to the original series that's been incredibly popular.
And let's not forget the animated shows. Lower Decks, a more comedic take, and Prodigy, aimed at younger audiences.
There was a time in 2022 where there were 5 Star Trek shows airing simultaneously.
A real peak for the franchise. Of course, some of those shows have ended. Picard finished in 2023, Discovery just this year in 2024.
But there's still plenty to look forward to. The Starfleet Academy series is in pre-production. And Prodigy, after being removed from Paramount Plus, has found a new home on Netflix.
And Paramount Plus is going all in on Star Trek with their plans to release a new TV film every 2 years, starting with Section 31 in 2025.
It's incredible to think how much this franchise has expanded. And speaking of expansion, one of the sources you and I have been exploring is the Star Trek Online Wiki. Now, this is something special.
It really is. For those who don't know, it's this massive online encyclopedia entirely run by fans. It's dedicated to the Star Trek Online MMORPG.
MMORPG.
Massively multiplayer online role-playing game. It's a game set in the year 2409 after the Hobus Supernova, a major event in Star Trek lore. And this wiki, it's astonishing. Over 73,000 pages.
Wow. That's dedication.
It's a testament to the passion of those Star Trek Online players. It's got info on everything. Factions, ships, careers, equipment, lore, you name it. And it's constantly being updated by the community.
So if you're playing Star Trek Online and you need to know something, you go to this wiki.
Exactly. It's the ultimate guide for players. And they've got info on upcoming content, too, like Season 33, Unveiled, launching on PC in February 2025. They've got the 15th anniversary event details, even a special bundle with classic film items being released in March. It's amazing how they keep this game, this whole universe, evolving.
It really is. It's like this living, breathing world. And the wiki has these fun little did you know facts. Did you come across any interesting ones?
Oh, yeah. There's one about the Borg. You know, they're famous for adapting to energy weapons. Well, in Star Trek Online, there's a way to counter that. Players can use a frequency remodulator or switch to a different energy type. It's a cool gameplay mechanic that's tied directly to the lore. It rewards players who really understand the Star Trek universe.
Very cool. So we've talked TV shows, movies, games, even this incredible fan-run wiki. But Star Trek's influence extends far beyond just entertainment.
Right. It's had a genuine impact on our world, our culture.
I mean, it's a multi-billion-dollar industry. But it's more than that, isn't it?
Absolutely. Roddenberry's initial pitch, Wagon Train to the Stars, Horatio Hornblower in Space, it showed he understood how to tap into those timeless themes of adventure. And the opening narration, "To boldly go where no man has gone before," that phrase has taken on a life of its own.
It's become part of our language.
It has, and its origin is actually pretty interesting. It comes from a U.S. White House booklet on space exploration after the launch of Sputnik.
Really? So it predates Star Trek.
In a way, yeah. But Star Trek popularized it, gave it this powerful aspirational meaning, and then with syndication, it spread all over the world.
It became a global phenomenon.
It did, reaching people from all walks of life. And of course, we have to talk about the fans, the Trekkies, the Trekkers. They've created this vibrant, enduring subculture. Conventions, documentaries like Trekkies. It's fascinating.
They're a testament to the power of fandom. And it's not just about consuming the content, is it? They're creating, writing, building, like that wiki.
It's inspiring, really, and what's even more remarkable is how Star Trek has inspired real-world technology.
There are some pretty clear examples of that, aren't there?
Yeah. The Palm PDA, those early handheld mobile phones, they were influenced by those sleek communicators. Michael Jones, one of the creators of Google Earth, has said the tricorder's scanning and mapping functions were a big inspiration. There was even a real-world Tricorder X Prize competition, challenging people to create a portable medical scanner like the one in Star Trek.
Trying to make that science fiction a reality.
Exactly. And in the realm of nanotechnology, the replicator has sparked research into using diatoms to create objects. It's incredible.
It really shows how powerful those ideas, those visions of the future can be.
They plant seeds, they make us think about what's possible, and it's not just the technology. Star Trek, especially the original series, was pretty groundbreaking in its approach to social issues.
Very progressive for its time.
It had one of the first truly multiracial casts on American television, and that famous kiss between Kirk and Uhura, while not the first interracial kiss on TV, was still a huge deal. It challenged societal norms.
And Nichelle Nichols, who played Uhura, she became a real advocate for diversity in the space program, didn't she?
She did. She used her platform to champion the inclusion of women and people of color in NASA. And you know what? NASA actually asked for her help in recruiting for the space shuttle program.
No way.
Yeah, and she was instrumental in bringing the first significant numbers of non-white individuals and women into NASA. It's a legacy that continues to this day.
That's amazing. It shows how much of an impact she had.
It really does. And even more recently, there was Operation Warp Speed.
The U.S. government's initiative to develop and distribute COVID-19 vaccines.
Right. And that name apparently was suggested by a Star Trek fan.
So even in the midst of a global pandemic, there's that Star Trek influence.
It's everywhere if you look for it. And with such a massive cultural presence, it's no wonder Star Trek has been parodied and homaged countless times.
Oh, yeah. From Saturday Night Live to Galaxy Quest, everyone's taken a swing.
Galaxy Quest is particularly beloved. Even many Star Trek actors love it. There have been Gilbert and Sullivan adaptations, Simpsons episodes, Futurama, and of course that Black Mirror episode, USS Callister, a darker take, but still engaging with those Star Trek tropes.
It seems like everyone feels a connection to Star Trek.
Yeah.
And then there's the whole world of fan productions.
Oh, yeah. For years, Paramount and CBS had a pretty relaxed approach to fan-made films and series. They saw it as a form of engagement, of love for the franchise.
And some of those productions were really well made.
They were. Star Trek, New Voyages, Star Trek Continues, they had great production values. Some even involved actors and writers from the official shows and movies.
But then, in 2016, CBS changed their approach. They issued stricter guidelines, which unfortunately shut down some of those fan projects.
It's a tricky situation, balancing the need to protect intellectual property with the passion of the fans.
A delicate balance, for sure. But even with those guidelines, the fans are still finding ways to express their love for Star Trek.
They always will. And it's not just the fans who've recognized Star Trek's importance. The franchise has won a lot of awards over the years.
Yeah, it's not just been popular, it's been critically acclaimed.
Right. The Hugo Awards, one of the biggest awards in science fiction. Star Trek episodes were nominated constantly in the 60s. The Next Generation won a couple in the 90s. Various other series and films have also been nominated over the years. Star Trek IV, the Voyage Home, was nominated for 4 Oscars.
And then finally, in 2009, they won that Oscar for Best Makeup.
Exactly. The Next Generation episode, The Big Goodbye, won a Peabody Award. And in 2016, Guinness World Records named Star Trek the most successful science fiction television franchise ever.
And then, just last year, the entire franchise received a Peabody Institutional Award. It's amazing to see how it's been recognized for its cultural impact, not just its entertainment value.
It's a testament to its enduring legacy. And speaking of legacy, we should probably touch on the corporate ownership of Star Trek. It's been a bit of a winding road.
It hasn't always been straightforward, has it?
No. It started with Gene Roddenberry's Norway Productions and Desilu Productions, which became Paramount Television. Over the years, there were mergers and acquisitions, companies like Gulf plus Western, Paramount Communications, Viacom, CBS Corporation, all involved.
So the rights to Star Trek were spread out.
Yeah. And in 2005, CBS and Viacom split. CBS got the TV rights and licensing, while Viacom, through Paramount Pictures, kept the film library and pre-2005 home video rights.
That must have made things complicated.
It did, but then in 2019, they merged again, forming Viacom CBS, now known as Paramount Global.
So now, finally, the entire franchise is back under one roof.
It's a fitting end to a long and complex journey.
So to wrap things up, we've gone from those early days, the struggle for survival through syndication, to this massive expansion across TV and film, and now this interconnected Star Trek universe. It's a story of resilience, of innovation, of cultural impact.
It's a story that reflects our own hopes and dreams for the future.
And as we end this deep dive, I want to leave you with a question to ponder. Star Trek has always been about exploration, diversity, hope for a better tomorrow. What part of that vision resonates most with you today? Or, with the Star Trek universe still expanding, what direction would you like to see it take?
It's a question worth thinking about, and we encourage you to continue your own exploration of Star Trek. Revisit those classic episodes, dive into the new shows, check out that incredible Star Trek Online wiki. There's always something new to discover.
Thank you for joining us on this journey through the final frontier. Live long and prosper.